Day 12. 12 days since the U.S. and Israel launched their coordinated assault on Iran, and instead of surrender, what we're seeing is escalation on top of escalation. The U.S. and Israel have now reportedly struck over 10,000 civilian sites in just 11 days. 10,000 in 11 days. A girls' school in Menab, over 160 children killed, hospitals bombed, oil refineries on fire, civilian infrastructure in ruins, and yet Iran is not surrendering. Welcome back. Today, we are going deep into what's really happening, the energy crisis threatening to collapse the world economy, the military reality on the ground, and whether there's any path to peace. Stay with me, because this one's important. Let's start with the most dangerous escalation of the past 48 hours, and it's not missiles, it's energy. The U.S. and Israel's strategy appears to be bomb Iran into surrender, but what they've done instead is ignite a full-scale global energy crisis. Here's what's been hit so far. Iran's own oil refineries struck in the opening wave. Bahrain's refinery hit by Iran in retaliation. The Haifa refinery in Israel struck. Saudi Arabia's oil fields, drone attacks reported. Kuwait's refinery targeted. And that's just so far. If this escalates further, more energy infrastructure will burn. Now let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz. This is the single most important choke point on the planet. Here are the numbers. 30% of global crude oil passes through it, 29% of global LPG, 19% of the world's LNG. If the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, the world economy does not just slow down, it collapses. Experts are saying that any negotiation, if one ever happens, will hinge entirely on this strait. Iran knows this. This is their ultimate leverage. Trump says the war will end soon. Oil markets briefly believed him. Prices dipped. But Trump has been wrong 90% of the time. And now he's claiming the U.S. will take over the Strait of Hormuz, which is simply not going to happen. This isn't just a Middle East problem. This is your problem. Let me show you why. India. Hotels in Bangalore, Chennai, and Mumbai are reporting severe LPG shortages. Commercial kitchens can't get enough gas. And the bigger crisis coming is fertilizer. India imports massive amounts of fertilizer from the Middle East. No fertilizer, wheat, corn, and rice harvests collapse. Pakistan, a near emergency has been declared. Work days reduced, schools and colleges shut, only essential exams continuing. South Korea, one of the world's most advanced export economies, heavily dependent on Middle East fuel and gas, is scrambling. Hungary, fuel exports banned. India roughly has 25 days of fuel reserves left. Russia can supply oil, but natural gas transported all the way from Russia becomes enormously expensive. Thailand, Vietnam, encouraging work from home to save fuel. And then there's the Gulf countries, sitting inside Iran's missile range. Civilians trying to flee Dubai through the desert. Reports of people calculating how much water they can carry in an ATV across the desert. These are desperate times. The German chancellor put it bluntly. I'm quoting him. "We are particularly concerned that there is no common plan for how this war can be brought to a swift and convincing end." No plan? They went to war with no plan? Now let's talk about what's actually happening militarily, because the picture the U.S. is painting and the reality on the ground are very different. The U.S. strategy was simple. Bomb Iran's air defenses, radar systems, and missile launchers, and Iran would go quiet. That has not happened. Iran's radars are destroyed, yet missiles keep coming. Iran's launchers were reportedly hit, yet strikes continue. How? Iran adopted what experts call a mosaic defense, a decentralized command structure where no single point of failure can shut the whole system down. Intelligence from China's floating supercomputer in the region, plus Russian satellite data, is helping Iran strike with terrifying precision. Iran is targeting specific hotels and residential buildings in Gulf cities, not randomly, but because they believe these are CIA and Mossad operational hubs. Scott Ritter noted that Iran receives intelligence in the morning and retaliates with precision strikes by evening. Meanwhile, Israel's air defenses are crumbling. Iron Dome, which we were told was nearly impermeable, is being penetrated. Hezbollah's rockets are getting through. Iranian ballistic missiles are getting through. Israel no longer even has sirens working in many areas because the radar systems that powered them are destroyed. Israel is now using gravity bombs, the kind you'd see in a World War II documentary, because their precision-guided munitions stockpile is running low. South Korea's air defenses are being stripped and shipped to the Middle East, and South Korea can do nothing about it. Australia is sending troops and missiles to the UAE. More deaths coming, more countries being dragged in. Now, here's what the U.S. and Israel fundamentally do not understand or refuse to accept. Iran will not surrender from bombing alone. History has never produced a single example of a nation surrendering purely from air bombardment without ground troops. And ground invasion? The Kurds already refused passage. Nobody wants boots on the ground in Iran. The last people to try that kind of thing in the region got body bags by the thousands. This is a country that survived the Iran-Iraq War, a country that endured chemical weapons attacks, a country whose people have already shown they will bleed for their homeland. And then consider this. Iran's new supreme leader, Mottahib Khamenei, the U.S. and Israel killed his father in this attack. They killed his mother. They killed his wife. They killed his 2 children. They killed his brother-in-law. They killed his niece. They killed his sister. And you think he's going to surrender? Compare this to Ukraine, a much smaller country, with a ground invasion actually happening, people running out of soldiers to fight, and they still haven't surrendered after years of war. Iran's terrain makes Ukraine look like flat farmland. This is a war of attrition, and attrition favors Iran because they are fighting in their own home. Now, let's talk about what's actually happening inside Israel, because very little is getting out. Ben Gurion Airport is in chaos. Israel has put a cap. Only 100 passengers per flight can leave, because if they removed that restriction, the exodus would be impossible to hide. Members of Israel's own parliament are reportedly leaving the country. When your own legislators are fleeing, what does that tell you about the future they see? Economic activity has essentially stopped. People are living in bomb shelters, continuous bombardment. Israeli civilians are exhausted. Satellite imagery of the region. Planet Labs, the company that provides it, initially delayed release by 96 hours, then extended that to 2 weeks. Now, indefinite. The official reason is security. The real reason? They don't want the world to see the condition of U.S. and Israeli bases. Even prominent U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the biggest war hawks in Washington, is now calling on Gulf countries to come help. The same Gulf countries the U.S. was supposed to be protecting. That's how desperate things have become. Nobody's talking enough about Russia and China in this. China has what's described as a floating supercomputer, a sophisticated intelligence vessel operating in the region. Iran is receiving real-time intelligence from it. That's how the targeting has been so precise. Russia is providing satellite intelligence. Without these two, Iran's precision strike capability would be a fraction of what it is. But the bigger picture is this. Russia wins either way. Europe and Asia, cut off from Middle East energy, now have to go to Russia. Putin already told Europeans, "You're not reliable partners." He was about to cut them off anyway. Let's look at the actual options. Option 1, Trump declares victory and walks away, like he did with the Houthis. We bomb them into oblivion. Come home. The Israelis will never accept this. Option 2, ground invasion. This will produce nothing but body bags. The Kurds refused passage. Iran's terrain is brutal. American soldiers will die by the thousands. Not going to happen. Option 3, go nuclear. The doomsday plane is already in the air, but if the U.S. goes nuclear, every nation on Earth that has been sitting on the fence immediately moves against Washington. The U.S. is already treated like a pariah state. Going nuclear ends any remaining legitimacy. Option 4, the only real option, a negotiated settlement. Putin has reportedly already put proposals on the table. Trump hasn't accepted